What up, all my tech mexers joining us on this fine day? I don't actually know when I'm posting this video, so good, good, good existence to you. We're doing a little bit of a different video today. I'm joined by my sister Christina, who is broadcasting live from Florida. She just went surfing and keeps posting pictures of the beach, and I'm not jealous at all. Today we're talking about the Amazons, Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, the TV show that I hate. You actually enjoyed it, Tina?
Yes, I loved it. Also, did you almost say the Lord of the Memes?
Huh? I said well. That's what I call my videos.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a the show's a joke. We're talking about Amazon's Rings of Power, but I wanted to focus on one topic specifically. I wanted to talk about physics, or rather, I should say, the lack of physics that have been demonstrated in Rings of Power. So I've brought on my sister Christina to talk about the show. And even though she actually enjoyed watching it, she's promised that she will objectively judge these scenes for their physics based merits, regardless of her opinion of the TV show. And I
Yeah.
told her she's not allowed to say anything good about the show while she's on this show.
But if I think that
Just
some of the physics is accurate, then I can say that, right?
No, I was making a joke, Tina.
Oh.
Yes, you can say that it's accurate.
Oh, he's technically Mexican, 3/4 American, but for 3 generations he's got that nationality. Great-great-grandpa headed south, whose kids as kids then turned around. It's not what the show's about, but it's why he's Mexican technically. He helps that he was raised in New Mexico, lived in Guadalajara for 2 years, speaks fluent Spanish with a bachelor's degree in language, and makes a mean taquito.
We both have to put aside our feelings for the TV show because we are talking strictly physics. Why do I have my sister on the TV show? Hold up your diploma, baby.
So from Brigham Young University. Oh, the lighting's bad. Okay, so
Great.
there's
You
my
just
name.
doxed me as a Mormon. Go on.
My name and Bachelor of Physics.
Bachelor of Physics. I have a smart sister. She knows physics. Are you contesting that? Well, I'm only a little bit smart.
I'm not gonna be super prideful and be like,
why would you object to that, Tina? I'm complimenting you. Well, I'm actually stupid.
No, I'm not stupid. I think I'm pretty smart, but also some of my physics classes were very hard. And when I was in them, I felt dumb.
Just take a compliment.
I'm just being honest. I felt so dumb in some of my classes because I wasn't getting it at first. And it took me a really long time to understand it. But finally, I feel like I can grapple physics.
Okay.
And I do think I know physics better than a lot of other people. But there are also a lot of other people that know physics better than me. Just saying.
Just let me compliment you.
I'm just giving disclaimers.
I brought my sister on the show because she knows physics. All right? I'm not going to say she's like a Stephen Hawking, but she has a degree in physics. And this video, we're talking about the stupid physics in Rings of Power. So we're both going to put aside our biases towards the show and just analyze these scenes for the science, baby! All right.
Wait, can I just also say that I did teach physics to 8th graders? So that's also some qualifications that I have is I was a middle school science teacher, and the science I taught was physics to 8th graders.
Are you going back to teaching?
No. The reason I'm in a rocking chair is because I had a baby, which is why I'm no longer teaching. But I plan to go back to teaching once my babies are all in school.
That's how. Okay. So not for a while then. Got it.
Yeah, probably cool. 10 years.
All right. Hold on. So can you see the screen, Tina?
Yes.
Bachelor of Science of Physics.
That sounds so cool.
All right. This is the first scene that annoyed me, and this is a minor gripe, okay? I think this is just a problem with the lazy CGI and not with like physics itself. But
okay, I was gonna say the physics looks
here's the scene. Let's analyze it. All right. You got Galadriel climbing a mountain, and she does a jump with her knife. That's it. What do you think about that, Tina?
So I do have to say I'm also a rock climber. So I'm also looking at this very much with rock climber eyes. First of all, as a rock climber, so people do moves like that all the time. They're called dinos, where you jump and you have to catch something, right? Also, people do ice climb all the time. But I will say, well, first of all, also you should never ice climb like that without gear that will keep you safe. Anyway, but I do think the physics are pretty okay here because people do that all the time in rock climbing. But like, I don't
I'm
know,
not complaining about the move.
But maybe the type of blade is not as realistic because I know that ice picks are shaped differently. Therefore, they might make it so that the ice doesn't crack. So maybe that's the unrealistic part, is like that type of blade might not do, like maybe that type of blade would cause the ice to crack, and that's unrealistic. But I don't know. Yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say.
What I dislike about this scene is the complete lack of momentum.
With her body swinging? Like her body doesn't swing?
So like the move, people do this, right? And I know you do rock climbing. So like I'm not complaining about the move, but watch. She jumps, stabs in her pick, and doesn't even sway.
Swing. That's true. Her foot swings out a little bit.
Well, but like she would drop down, right? Like if you're doing this in real life, you would stab it in, and then you're like fall down, and then have to pull yourself back. You would
also run into your body would slam into the rock because like when I've only done one
look at it again. Look at it again. Like her body doesn't even move when she does this. Watch.
That's
just
true.
There.
Her body would swing a lot more. That is true. Her body would swing to the other direction, the same direction that she was jumping, and then it would also swing into the rock.
So this was the first, and this is in the first episode, and I was like, I'm seeing some problems already. Granted, this is a nitpick, right? And I think it's up to just really crappy CGI, and not so much like I'm willing to let this one go, but we got to start small. The physics aren't really good here, right? Like look at her elbow. It's a constant, right angle, and it doesn't even shift at all. It stays a right angle the whole time.
Yeah.
There's no weight to it at all.
Well, I will say one thing, Alan. You could argue that if you're flexing your arms and your abs really well, that you could control your momentum a little bit, but that would require an crazy amount of body strength and muscles.
Yeah, you'd have to be so ripped. Also, why is she wearing her armor while doing this? That's just
that's dumb.
Her fingers would be gone. Like, oh gosh, this is stupid. All right.
And also, no human is that good at ice climbing or rock climbing that they could do that without dying. Like even that movie, The Dawn Wall. I don't know if you've seen that. Like he does something like this, but he had to practice like 100 times with actual gear before he did it.
Yeah, and I'm sure his body like swayed when he did it a little.
He did. Yeah, there's tons of swinging. Yeah.
All right, so we can agree, bad physics, right?
Yeah, with the momentum of the body. Yeah.
It's minor. I get. We're starting small. Okay. Scene 2. Actually, we're just starting. We're doing this chronologically. I didn't order these in order of offensiveness.
Okay.
So scene 2 is from the same episode. This is the stupidest thing ever. I hate. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
So we get this. I hate this scene so much, but we're talking specifically about the silly jump.
Jumping off of a sword, you mean?
Well, so the jump, but also her strike. So let's watch this back. He does a silly little spin, and then she runs up his sword.
Up the sword.
And presumably, like he's kind of launching her, right? Like
First of all, I don't know if the sword would be strong enough to support a human body, but I guess it depends on what kind of metal it's made out of.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the metal, but most swords, if you did that, would snap in half.
Yeah. But theoretically, if you had a strong enough metal, it could be possible. I'm not a material scientist.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
but
I'm not a scientist.
I'm not a material scientist. I am a scientist.
Yeah.
But there's
So
material science, which is separate from physics.
but she runs up. So she runs up the blade, and then jumps, and then he pretends to launch her. You can see she's already not there.
Oh, but she's already in the air.
And she's already in the air, and he's pretending like he's launching her. First off,
That's
even
funny.
if he was launching her, there's no way that he would have the leverage from the position that he's in with his arms behind him and backwards to be able to add any support here, right?
Also, if you go back, Ellen, if you pause, like right when she starts to go in the air, or right before it actually, it's like as if because like if once she does put her weight on the sword, he would like go down a little bit, right?
It
But
doesn't
he
even show strain.
budge.
Doesn't even show strain. She just.
But
he does.
You could argue if someone's strong enough.
Yeah, he's not straining because she's, in real life, she's on a wire, so she's never actually walking on the sword.
Yeah. But it doesn't even look like he's flexing. So that's the issue. If he was like, if he was like showing struggle, then that would be more believable. But he's not even, he's like limp, kind of. Not limp, but like just like relaxed.
Right. Okay, so he flips her, right? And silly. But then this is what's even worse. So presumably she's going to launch herself at this troll and use the momentum of this jump to land a stronger blow, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Except
or to get a
that,
good angle.
Watch what happens after she jumps, right? And she's coming around, and rather than use the momentum, look what she does with her sword. Did you see that?
She just goes down.
She strikes in the opposite direction that she's traveling. How much force is that blow going to have, Tina? Tell me the physics.
Well, you are correct that they can cancel out, right? Her momentum in the one direction and then the momentum of the swing in the opposite will cancel out. She does start going down first and then goes opposite. So maybe the down momentum is what she was going
I agree. I agree. It's not completely negated.
Like so the time that she's going backwards might just be the follow through. Like whenever you're doing like a baseball swing or something, you have to have follow through. Maybe it's just that.
But we agree that this is silly, right? Like you would want to use your momentum to land the blow rather than wait till you pass and smack them as you're falling, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like I would think of it more as like she's in the air with her arms like this, and then you go like that kind of thing.
That's what you would want to do. Yeah. And so she might have, and what you mentioned, she is falling down, and her stroke is coming down. So it's not gonna. There will be some force there, but not nearly as much as she could have had if she did it properly. Right. Mm-hmm. She's also a really big fan of this move because she does it immediately again. First off, I hate that she just turns her back and spins her sword about 6 times so she can look cool, right? That's the dumbest thing you can do. But watch the next blow. She gets one regular blow in. Sure, that's fine. And then she does it again. She does the same thing. Watch. I'm gonna jump and strike after the momentum is over.
Wait. Can you do that again in slow motion?
Yeah, in the opposite direction of the momentum. Right? She does a strike in the opposite direction of her momentum. She strikes out at the leg as she's moving past it. It's so silly. Just if you're going to do that, hold your sword out and use the force.
Yeah, use the force. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, if the sword still has contact with the enemy, it will still do them harm, but it won't have as much force.
Yeah. She also does this again in another scene, which we will see later because it comes up last.
Yeah.
So we can agree, Galadriel's a dum-dum.
I think the battle choreographer or the what's that called?
Fight scene choreographer. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Yeah, the combat choreography.
Yeah, I would say the combat choreographer is the is
dumb. So dumb.
the dum
It's so
dum.
dumb. All right, next we have the Harfoots putting up a stick. You remember this scene, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
that-
didn't like it. It was gross.
Yeah,
grossed me
it's
out.
also not a very big stick, right?
Well, but Alan, even though the stick isn't big, there's a lot of tension from the rope and all the other sticks pulling against the rope. So that's what adds to the force.
Isn't the
Is
rope,
the rope tension.
Isn't the rope assisting him though?
Well, so they're putting, it's kind of like tent poles, right? Well, they are tent poles. Like
Yeah,
you're
but
putting the poles up. The rope is helping you keep the tension so that they all stay up. It's not helping.
I get what you're saying, but that's
pulled up.
I understand what you're saying, but that's not what they're depicting here, Tina. Look.
You're right. Maybe I just didn't notice.
Look, they literally have like a
wheel?
wench. They have a wench tied up to this not very big stick, helping him pull it up.
Right. They're like
they're cranking
rolling it. They're
so
turning it.
What you had a good point, but that's not what's being depicted here.
So
they have
reeling
ropes.
it in.
It's just, and he slips and hurts his foot.
Then it breaks.
But it's not that big of a stick, is my contention. Like we don't have to show him. Oh, oops,
Ugh, I hate the foot.
I paused right on it. But even when you cut, like, that's not a big log. It's not even that heavy.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
This probably isn't a physics question, but I just don't like this scene because I think it's silly. Because look, you cut to the wide, like you wouldn't need any of those ropes to help pick up a stick that big. Compared to your body mass, you would not need ropes to lift that.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
They have the ropes to keep it up but it's
as the tent, like as tent poles.
This scene could have been effective if it was like a big log, right? And then, but they just chose such a small prop.
Yeah, that's true. It is pretty small
prop, and then you take, and he, oh no, like I'm really struggling here. It's gonna fall. Let's just step out of the way,
Yeah.
But even then, like it would have been so easy to hold this up.
But Alan, I do think you're right. I will say though, I think this happens in pretty much all movies. Things like this happen, and especially action scenes. There's a lot of illogical motion, like acts and stuff. But I think they're just doing that because it's easier for them to film the movie that way, right?
Yeah.
Like it would be harder. It would be harder for the actor to have done that with an actual huge, heavy log.
No, you can use foam.
But you're right. People could try harder to make it look more realistic and still have a good movie.
Yeah, you like obviously like people, you're gonna take shortcuts when you're making this kind of stuff to not put the actors in harm, right? And I get that action movies in general have a lot of ridiculous physics, but when you compare this show to the Lord of the Rings movies, it's offensive. And when you take into consideration that this is an adaptation of Tolkien, who spent his life obsessing over his books to ensure that everything was logical. Like he invented multiple phonetic languages. So he always took care to make sure that things made sense. And so that's why I have a distaste for this lazy filmmaking.
Wait. Okay, but so I have a question. So like, would you not find any illogical parts in the original Lord of the Rings?
Yes, movie? No, and I'm on record. I think talking about like plot inconsistencies, there aren't any. But I think my biggest complaint about the original films, which I absolutely love, is sometimes with Legolas specifically, the physics get a little bit cartoony. Like,
but nothing like the ones in these.
But it doesn't even compare to how ridiculous this is. So like there's a scene where he like surfs down a staircase on a shield, which is silly, but also plausible.
Yeah.
You just have to have perfect balance, Yeah. And then and there's a scene where he takes down the elephant by himself. Yeah, it's unrealistic, but like it doesn't like break the laws of the universe, right?
Break the laws of physics. Okay, what's scene 4?
Okay, scene 4. I hate this one so much. You get Bronwyn and her Theo fighting orc. orc boy, and they do a fight, and the orc boy gets stuck, and then Theo decides to get him unstuck by hanging him, and there we go. Can we guess what's wrong with this clip?
Well, when I watched it in preparation, I was trying to think of what you might say is bad. And I was thinking maybe you're going to say the boy jumping down wouldn't like, kind of like if you're thinking of a scale, it wouldn't be enough weight to pull up the orc.
Yeah.
And if that's what you have to say, I will say, yes, his mass is going to be less than the orc, but momentum is equal to mass times velocity. And so his velocity of his jumping down is what would make it possible.
Jumping down would lurch the orc up. It would cause force. But then they're equalized, and they're both just hanging there. And
doesn't he fall on the ground? Because you're pausing it. What happens after?
They're both hanging, suspended.
Wait. Can you just play it again without slowing motion or anything? So I can watch.
Yeah, so the initial jump, would lurch him up. But then they're both just hanging there.
Good point. Yes, that's true.
And then when he hits it,
probably has more mass than the boy, so that is unrealistic.
Yeah, they both just hang there.
That's true.
He's a tiny boy. He's a tiny little boy.
You're right. That would not be equal.
I do concede. Yeah, jumping down would cause force, but not enough to lift him into the air. It would jerk him probably, and then much less. They would both just hang there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so silly.
Or does it look like the orc is hanging, but really he's standing?
No, he's hanging.
Is he hanging? Yeah, it looks like he's hanging. Because that looked like he was standing just then on the ground. When he goes for the punch, it looks like he's standing.
Ooh, hey, let's build
he goes up. He's dangling right there.
Never shows him lower. He's still hanging. Look, that's funny. The rope is loose though, because they're definitely depicting him hanging. Look, see. It's taut.
But then as soon as he punches, it looks like he's standing, like right here. Now it looks like he's stable.
Probably because he is, but they're trying to depict that he's hanging.
That he's hanging. Yeah.
Right. The actor is probably just standing, which is why you can't see their feet.
But you're right. If they're trying to make it look like they're both dangling, then yes, that is not accurate. That wouldn't happen that way.
Yeah. Silly physics. Okay, scene 5.
Wait, I don't remember watching when you showed it. Oh, him catching the arrow. But I feel like things like that happen all the time in movies, and it's
not in Tolkien, though.
So Legolas never does anything like that?
No.
Catching an arrow?
No, he's not a god. Think of how fat. Like if you played that in real time.
Elves that way though. Elves are depicted as like super.
Not fast.
Agile, super strong, super capable, super quick on their feet.
So the reason they're so good at archery is because they can see further, right? Their eyes look longer, so they're better at aiming. That doesn't mean they have superhuman speed. Also, even if he was able to catch, like it could be explained with magic, right? If this was a magic person, he could slow down time and catch an arrow. But that's not the case.
Wait, play it again. Like regular speed?
Yeah. Even if you were able to catch that arrow, it would tear your hand apart.
That's true, yeah. That's what I would say is the illogical thing. Because, I don't know, I think with physics you could, if you were fast enough and like hand-eye coordination, if you had that well enough, you could theoretically do it. But yeah, it would really destroy your, like rope burn kind of thing.
Look, it doesn't even slide. Look, he catches it right there. Doesn't even slide in his hands. He just like plucks it out.
Well, if you grip it hard enough, you stop the motion. But yeah, it would hurt. And
and I understand, like, if it's a fantasy, like there's nothing wrong with doing something like that. The problem is it's Tolkien.
So Tolkien never described the elves as capable of something like that, is what you're saying.
Absolutely not. It's silly.
Now I wonder if that is possible for a human to catch an arrow like that.
You could catch one in your chest.
Ow. That's why I said like that. Because
no, it's physically impossible for a human to do that.
We should ask Mythbusters.
If you can catch an arrow. Let's test it.
Travis says Mythbusters has done it.
Did they
Because
succeed?
I mean, if you do the right time, if you put your hand in front of the arrow in the right time, you can stop the arrow and stop its motion. So Travis found something. Do you want me to share it with you?
Oh yeah, sure.
Was it from Mythbusters? Yeah.
Were they wearing gloves though?
Well, so Kelly is a person from Mythbusters, right? And it says,
Right.
while Kelly is able to catch arrows, he could not do so under full combat conditions. So the Mythbusters declared that myth busted.
So it was just
Kelly was able to
small
deflect
arrow.
an arrow with a sword and kill Adam Savage before, quote, kill.
Oh, you
Adam
can
Savage
you can
before he
deflect
could
arrows
reload.
with swords, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no.
For
So
sure.
it's saying they were able to catch an arrow, but not while he was in full combat conditions.
So
I guess
it was a slow arrow.
Yes, or like if you're standing, no distractions, I'm guessing like you're prepared, waiting for it, you could do it. But I guess if you're like fighting and distracted, you wouldn't be able to do it.
And it probably wasn't fully drawn, right?
Well, I don't know. Travis just Googled this.
I'll have to look it up. So I looked it up after this conversation, and the Mythbusters were never actually able to get a human to catch an arrow that was fired at full speed. They did construct a robot that could catch arrows, but the robot hand had to close 5 times faster than any human would be capable of doing. And then they did bring on a ninja guy, Kelly, who is capable of catching arrows out of midair, but it's more of a party trick when he does it, because these arrows are clearly not being fired at full draw. Here's a clip of him doing it in Japan. And yeah, it's super impressive, but those arrows wouldn't hurt a lot if they were to hit you.
So I do think physically it is possible. You just have to be extremely talented.
And he was probably wearing gloves.
Probably. Yeah. No, yeah, that's true. So the hand would definitely get like rope burn kind of thing.
All right. Scene 6. This one probably isn't physics. This is probably an engineering thing.
Which is very much related. But yeah, I'm not an engineer, so.
Right. So this is the whole, I hate this so much. He shoots a teeny little arrow and it takes out the entire tower because I guess the tower isn't held together by the stones.
It's held together by the ropes.
It's held together by the ropes and braces.
Yeah.
Which that's not how any tower in existence has ever been built.
Yeah. But it's a different, well, so Alan, yeah, I agree that it's a stupid way to build the tower, but I do think if you tried to do that with the ropes, it would work. Because I was thinking of like, if you think of like a fishing net, you put it in the water and then there's all these fish in the net and like you're able to pull up all of those fish with just those the netting,
I don't think it would be physically possible to build this tower though. In a way, I think it's physically impossible to do this because you would have to construct the tower
inside the rope,
right, and then brace it. Like it's so dumb. Because
I think
also it's a defensive tower. Why would you want to have a tower that would fall apart if one arrow accidentally hit it in the wrong place?
Yeah. That is true.
It's such a dumb design. So it's just like these braces holding it together. Or maybe what they're... Now this is giving them way too much credit. Maybe what they're trying to imply is that it's an old tower. The tower was constructed and started falling apart. And so they added reinforcements.
Yeah.
But it looks like, see, these pulleys, they're like built into it though. Like they go like through the stone.
Well, they could have like we have drill. I mean, I don't know if they had drills. Like they could like drill.
Do they have any token drills? But it's just so silly.
Yeah.
Like I can think of explanations, but even those explanations are stupid, right?
Yeah.
Like, just like if the tower starts falling apart, use mortar, right? Like reinforce it, not with ropes. This is a horrible defensible position.
Also, Alan, I have another thought though.
Yeah.
What if like they obviously prepared for this attack? So like, what if initially the way the rope and the tower was built, it wouldn't have fallen with one arrow, but then the elf was like, "Hey, let's like unhook some things. Let's like change how the rope is set up so that when I do shoot an arrow into it, then it will fall apart."
If you change but you would still have to accept that the tower would be unsustainable without the ropes, right? So it's still a
Like if he
stupid.
changed something.
It's still a badly defensible position.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe not impossible, but bad engineering.
No, it's plausible. It's just stupid.
Very bad engineering.
It's so dumb. Okay, back to physics though. Scene 7. We get this is also just a silly scene. Let's see if you can see the mistake.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you play it again?
Yeah, you might have missed it. It's funny. Watch.
Punches him.
Look at the elf.
Is it because the orc that throws the thing also gets pulled back?
He doesn't get pulled back. He turns around and decides to jump.
Wait, okay, then do it again. Do it again.
So he pulls him. He pulls him. And then I'm just gonna jump.
Yeah, I mean they make it look like he's falling.
They try and make it look like he's falling, but why would anyone like pull so hard that they would knock themselves out? You know, he's jumping. You can
but he
watch
is
his
trying
legs.
to balance on a slanted roof, which
you
is
can watch
hard.
his legs go.
And, like,
I'm gonna jump too. That's just a silly scene. I thought because we need a laugh. We need a laugh, right?
Yeah,
it's silly. Jump.
Yeah, it does look like he did
he
that
just
on
rolls
purpose.
down.
Yeah.
Okay, scene 8. This is the worst one, and this is Galadriel once again not using momentum to do a thing.
Okay, you have to do that part. You have to do the slicing in slow motion because I don't see what direction she's slicing.
I hate it so much. It's so dumb. It's first off, it's so unnecessary to flip upside down and then stay there for a good like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it would have been better if she dodged the arrow and then just got back up and then
exactly.
But can you do slow motion?
Okay. Yeah, slow motion. Dodges the arrow. Hangs upside down.
Yeah.
Okay. Points.
He's not even holding the sword like in like a I'm gonna stab you. She's just
it's pointed away from the orc. Okay. She points it in front of her horse. Now watch. Pointed away it's still pointed away from the orc.
I can't even see the blade. You're right. It's pointing away from him. Away.
As she passes, she swings in the opposite direction that she is traveling.
Yeah.
And then also the distance from the horse, like this is a little bit of bad forced perspective. She's not even close. There's no way her blade would have made contact. But let's pretend that they're standing closer together. She swings and then the orc explodes.
Well, I think they're trying to make it look like she cuts his head off, but
ignore the fact that her sword clearly isn't making contact and pretend that he's standing closer and talk about the physics of how it would be possible.
It's
she keeps doing this every time she fights. She does this. She lands blows in the opposite direction of her momentum. And in this case, she's on a horse. Even if she was able to contact with the sword here, it would the blow would have negative force.
Yeah,
it would be like vector addition. You'd be patting him on the back, right?
Because her momentum this way, and then you subtract the momentum of the sword.
It's so dumb. Also, like you'd have to have the reactions, even just to be able to swing that fast.
Also, Alan,
as she's passing him by, to swing in the opposite direction and to be able to like go all the way through his head, right, while the horse is traveling in the other direction. Like I don't even think it would be possible to have your arm move that fast to have the blade pass all the way through the body.
Well, also, Alan, another thing that's wrong with it is that she swings her arm up, so it's like a vertical swing. But he would have had to been leaning this way for that swing.
He literally would have had to go like this.
Yeah. So
you
like
want to chop this off? You want to chop it off, baby?
Yeah. Basically, her swing just goes up his body. How is that supposed to cut it off?
I know. He's just and
Yeah,
he's
that one
not.
is
He's just
pretty
standing
dumb.
there, and then his head pops off. And even in the frame, you can see how far away from this orc she is. Like, like that is horrible forced perspective.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad. I definitely agree with that
This
one.
is probably the worst one. The
Yeah.
whole video was set up just to make fun of this clip. But it's so silly. So you had an additional thought that you just realized was relevant to our discussion on Galadriel and how she doesn't know how to use momentum when she swings a sword, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I learned about a cool situation in physics once that is like basically the exact same thing as this.
Is it the one where you have a wheel on a rope and you spin it and it stays up?
No, but that's super cool too.
That's super cool
love
too.
that one too.
I like that
this is
physics
different.
lesson.
So when I first learned this cool thing, I did not believe it, even though I was a physicist, or even though I have a physics degree.
Yeah.
Because it like blew my mind. So
well, yeah, there are some crazy things that can happen in physics, like the wheel thing, where your brain says like that shouldn't be working.
Yeah.
But it does.
Exactly. But so this blew my mind, and I just realized that it's the exact same situation as the sword thing. Okay, so if you have a train and the train is going this direction
and you shoot a bullet,
you shoot a bullet in the opposite direction, the bullet will literally just fall straight to the ground.
If the velocity you're shooting the bullet at matches the direction the train is. Yeah. It won't
and when
move.
I first heard
it
that,
literally
I was like,
will
that
not
doesn't
move.
make any sense. Yeah. Wait, sorry,
and
what?
if you shoot, it will not move. It will fall straight to the ground. If you shoot it in the other direction, it will go twice as fast.
Will go twice as fast. But so Alan, so when I first learned that train thing, I was like, no, that can't be true. But it's so true.
So then you took a train ride and brought a gun and tried it out?
No. But Mythbusters has done
I thought that's where that story was going for some reason.
No.
So anyway, I decided to hold a train hostage.
Oh my goodness. Do not claim on YouTube that I have held a train hostage, because I have not. Okay. Anyway, Alan. So basically, if you're doing that train situation, and like let's say you're a human standing where you would theoretically get hit by the bullet, you wouldn't actually get hit by the bullet because it would just fall straight to the ground. So it is. So with the sword and Galadriel's the train going one way and her sword is the bullet going the other way. So it would be the same as the bullet not actually hitting someone. The sword wouldn't actually. Yeah. It would be like, because originally the sword is going this way and then she swings it the other way. So then it's as if the sword isn't moving at all.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So in other words, you're saying I'm
right. Yes, you're right. Yes. And I already said you were right. But I just wanted to tell the viewers about this cool train thing because it blew my mind when I first heard it. And if the viewers don't believe us that the bullet will go straight to the ground, then they should look up Mythbusters, because Mythbusters did it with the basketball.
Yeah, if that you heard it from Tina, my sister. If you don't believe us that this will happen, take a gun on a train. And
Alan, do not. Say
don't.
that.
Sorry, don't.
I don't
go watch. Don't do that.
You're gonna get me in trouble with government.
It's called comedy.
Okay. I know. Anyway,
that's a great analogy.
Yeah, and I just think the viewers should hear about that cool analogy because it blew my mind when I first learned it a year or something ago. Anyway. Okay, that's all.
Right. The next one's even worse. Scene 9. This is the last. This is the last one.
Okay. I actually don't see anything wrong with this unless you point it out and I didn't notice it.
What?
He just trips the horse and so they fly forward.
How?
Which makes me sad for the horse.
How does he trip a horse here, Tina?
With the pole. with his jousting stick, whatever it is.
Does he like stick it into the ground? No, he just holds it out, and the horse trips.
Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with that.
Tell me what would happen. Okay, first off, you're just holding something out, and a horse runs by. If you're holding out a stick and a horse runs past it, the stick is going to snap, and the horse is going to keep running. The horse is not going to trip for a stick. Now, maybe if he shoved it into the ground, then it might trip the horse. It probably would still just snap the spear.
Actually, I do. Sorry.
Here's the other thing. Pretend the spear is made out of steel and it's not going to snap. And he somehow has the strength to hold it still.
Yeah, you're right.
What's going to happen to his arm?
It would like...
It's going to shatter every bone in his arm.
Yes, you're right. This is true. I didn't think about that. So, Alan, can I say something? Or were you still wanting to say something?
I have one more complaint.
Okay.
Why not just stab the horse with your spear?
Because the horse is not bad.
That's what you would do.
No, you would do jousting. I would stab the dude.
Would do jousting.
I would stab the dude, not the horse.
Here's
The
thing.
horse is not the enemy.
It's less practical, though. The horse is a lot easier to strike than the man.
But stabbing the horse.
It's actually really hard to aim. The horse is a much bigger target. If you wanted to bring him down, you would stab the horse.
Probably, but I would not want to hurt the horse. But Alan.
Well, I agree with you. The showrunners also didn't want to do that, which is why they take the time to make sure, hey guys, the horse is okay. We didn't hurt him.
Well, honestly, Alan, I liked that because when I was watching it, I was like, literally, this is all I was thinking about during the scene. I was like, the horse. And then I saw the horse was okay. And I was like, oh, okay, good. So that's what I was focusing on.
It's so ridiculous.
Okay, but Alan, can I say something now that shows that you're right? So, yeah,
sorry.
I do think...
I'm sorry. Go on.
Okay, so you have other movies where they do a similar thing, but instead of a spear, they have a rope. I think that would work because the rope has tension on both sides.
Yes.
So therefore the horse will trip. But listen, you're right that the reason this doesn't work is since he only is supporting the rope at one end, what would happen is the horse would just push the spear out of the way and it would rip his arm or something. So yeah, you're right. I just didn't think about that.
It would get knocked away or shattered. But if somehow he had the strength to hold it there, which he should have like stabbed it into the ground, right, to brace it. If he were able to hold it in place, it would destroy his arm.
Yeah, you're right. He would have needed to have a rope that's holding it on both sides so it doesn't move and therefore
or a catch or a catch pole.
I don't know what a catch pole is.
It's a weapon. He could have like grabbed. It's like a hook, basically a spear with a hook on the end. He could have used it to hook the horse's leg.
Yeah, to hook that would work too. Yeah, but I don't get why you're saying stab it in the ground because then it's vertical. That's not gonna.
No, I'm saying like that would brace the other end. So because your point that this would just get knocked back.
Yeah.
Saying if you want to keep it from knocking back, like if it was angled down and stabbed it into the ground, then maybe it could have braced it enough to trip the horse.
I still think even then it would just like turn in the ground. If it was stuck in the ground, it would just like turn it. Maybe the horse would trip with one of its foot, but you know, humans walk all the time and they like trip on one foot, but it doesn't make them fall on the ground.
Exactly. And horses especially. Like horses are super valuable in combat because you can ride through things. Like they would take horses and just ride them through the infantry, and their legs are gonna be hitting things, but because they're moving so fast, they stay up. Like you can recover. It's like running downhill. Tina, you ever just like gone to the top of a hill and just run down? You're falling the whole time. Mm-hmm. You're technically tripping the whole time, but you're moving so fast, you stay on your feet. You can keep,
and you're catching yourself. You fall, but you catch yourself with your next foot, and then and then repeat. Apparently,
this horse is just dumb and wanted to just fall down because a stick touched him.
Yeah, well, I'm glad the horse didn't get hurt.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. My sister, who's a physics major, says that I'm right. And Rings of Power, Amazon's Rings of Power is devoid of physics.
I didn't say it's devoid of physics.
The scenes that we showed her are devoid of physics.
I think you are right on most of those cases.
Just say I'm right. Do it.
You're right on most of those cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
And I definitely concede the point you made is worthy. Like, yes, this is nitpicky. And in a lot of action movies, you know, stuff like this happens and you have to give it a little bit of good grace, a little bit of suspension of disbelief. But the problem is I've never seen something this bad. Like in regard, like some of those things are just like mind-numbingly dumb. Like I watch a lot of action movies, but I've never seen stuff this bad. And what's more egregious is I've never seen something this bad in Tolkien, who put so much care into making sure that everything in his world made sense.
Can I say I can think of a movie off the top of my head that I think is much worse. Action, illogical.
I'm sure there's tons that are way worse. Yeah. Well, what are you thinking of?
I don't remember. So I know there's so many James Bond movies. I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying one of them. No. It wasn't James Bond. It was Mission Impossible. One of the new Mission Impossibles where there's like a helicopter flying off of a cliff. It's like at the end of the movie. That one.
That one's Rogue Nation.
I think it was Mission Impossible. Did you see that with me, Travi? Am I thinking of the right one? So they're like in a helicopter, and the blades are still turning, and it's like falling off of a cliff, and they are like falling off with it, and somehow it balances and stuff. But I don't remember the specifics. But I was watching that, and I was like, this is the stupidest action I have ever seen in my life. It is so impossible.
I think I remember the helicopter scene you're talking about, and I didn't like that either.
Yeah, that was worse than this.
But in general, the Mission Impossible movies, they're a little bit outlandish, but they're usually almost feasible.
Like, I'm just talking about that one.
I totally agree. I think that scene was silly.
Seen all of them.
But like half of the stuff Tom Cruise is actually doing in real life, and you're like, holy crap, that's cool.
Yeah, but not that helicopter scene.
I agree.
I think it was the most recent one.
I think it was Rogue Nation.
I don't remember because there's so many, but it made me hate the movie. But anyway.
Thanks for joining me, Tina. Thanks for using your physics brain to prove me right.
Okay.
I'm always right.
You're welcome. This is why I got a degree in physics, was so that I could help prove you right.
Some might say this was your only purpose in life, was to get a degree in physics so that you could be on a video with your brother.
No, that's rude. But I could joke that it was the reason why I majored in physics.
Okay,
that's the reason
you got your 4-year degree, was so that you could appear in one singular video on my YouTube channel and talk about the silly physics in Rings of Power.
Yes, sure, yes. That is the reason. Not really. Sure, though. That is the reason that I did all of my college.
Well, thanks for joining me today.
I was in college more than 4 years, just a sign.
Oh, it took me 10, so I... Yeah.
It wasn't a 4-year degree. I mean, I guess the classes overall were 4 years.
It's just, Tina, it's just called a 4-year degree. I know it took you longer, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thanks for joining.
I just don't want any viewers.
I'm trying to do an outro. You keep talking. Thanks for joining me today. It's been fun. I've got a couple more of these Rings of Power videos planned, where I talk about its egregious filmmaking.
Wait, I didn't hear what you said, my babies.
Well, I've got a couple more of these deep dive topics planned, talking about the egregious filmmaking of Rings of Power. But thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome, Allie.
I love you, I guess.
Love you too. You love me what?
What?
Did you say I love you less?
I don't even know if we'll put this in the video, but I haven't even talked to you about the show, really. Yeah. So you liked it because it made you because you liked the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits movies?
Yeah, I actually liked this show more than, I think I liked it more than the original Lord of the Rings movies. I might have liked it equally with The Hobbit. I'm not sure. I would need to rewatch the other Lord of the Rings to like really compare them.
Wait, you like The Hobbit more than the Lord of the Rings?
I think so. From what
Wow.
I think so. If I were to really make sure I was 100% agreeing on that, I would have to go watch all of them again right now, like in a marathon, which I've done before, but never with the Rings of Power at the same time. You know, last time I watched Lord of the Rings was a year ago. No, 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that was also like the first time you watched it, isn't it?
Well, no, I mean, I watched them growing up, but I was so little then that I got bored and I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah, Christina is new to being a nerd, so we can forgive some of her bad opinions.
And also, even though I'm a fan, I'm not the type of fan that like watches it like 100 times a month, you know, like over and over and over again. So, but I am a fan. I love it.
Okay. I just have to absorb that information right now. Because The Lord of the Rings are perfect movies. The Hobbit was okay. I have a lot of complaints about it, but I still think it's decent. And then I absolutely hated Rings of Power.
Well, the reason I liked it, because I know that you think there was a lot of illogical things, and maybe that's true, but I wasn't looking for those. I enjoyed it because I like the world. I like the fantasy of the whole world. I like the elves. I like the beautiful scenery, like the beautiful forests and mountains, and I love
so like that's actually exactly the reason why I don't like it. When you say when you say like I don't like it because of the inconsistencies and lack of logic, that's actually not true. I don't like Rings of Power because it is inherently not Tolkien.
Yeah, okay.
Like I'm a fan of the books. I really like the movies. The movies made some changes, but they tried to keep the spirit of Tolkien there, and they did a very honorable job, like keeping Tolkien's legacy, right? Honoring his legacy. And in Rings of Power, and you haven't been watching my channel, so you probably don't know like all of the behind the scenes stuff. But holy crap, the showrunners they actively dislike Tolkien. And so Rings of Power, lore-wise, is an abomination. Like they take Tolkien's books, rip them to shreds, throw them in the garbage, and write whatever they want instead.
Yeah. Well, but Alan, I do have to say,
on top of that is all the inconsistencies that really bug me. So.
Yeah. Well, Alan, I'm currently reading the Wheel of Time series, which is a long series, which is why I
Why have you never told me this before?
Because I just started.
When did you start reading the Wheel of Time?
Literally 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so you're on the first book. Okay. I was like, are you like 6 books in and we've never talked? We've never talked about the Wheel of Time? What's wrong with you?
I watched the first season and I'm in the first book, and that's all. But the Wheel of Time.
Don't talk to me about the Wheel of Time TV show because I'm pissed off about it. Okay.
But Alan, let me finish what I was gonna say. So don't interrupt so that I can finish this. Okay. So I just started Wheel of Time, which is a long series. And before that, I was reading the Mistborn and the Wax and Wane series. Yeah. So I have still not read.
The new one comes out in a month, by the way. Go on.
Okay. So I still have not read the Lord of the Rings books. Mm-hmm. So I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings, and it's on my list. I'm probably going to read those books after the Wheel of Time books. But I haven't read them yet. So even though I'm on your video, it's mostly because I'm a physicist. That's why you're going to talk to me. Not necessarily because I know the Lord of the Rings lore, because I don't.
Oh, exactly. That's why.
I will someday.
I don't blame you for liking the TV show. I just wanted to understand why you liked it. And from what you said, it's because you don't know anything about the actual lore and you turn off your brain when you watch it.
No, I don't. Well, I turn off my
that's what you said. I know you didn't say it that way. But
my entertainment fantasy world.
Yeah, and
Right.
so I can understand that because it has lots of pretty colors. So I can understand if that's all you're looking for. I can
Well, not
understand
the
why
pretty
you would have liked
colors.
the Rings of Power.
Well, like
It
cool
looks good.
creatures, cool elves, cool elven kingdoms that are huge. And I also
Sure.
love like the I like old fashioned, not like Renaissance times, but like the like Numenor. That place is so cool to me.
It looked
And
really
I love
cool.
like the village life. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I
feel it
totally understand, and I don't judge you for liking the TV show, because if that's all you're looking for, that it delivers, and it's really good. I didn't like the TV show because of its disrespect to lore, and because the story is just really stupid and inconsistent.
I liked the story.
Well, and you also have to understand, like, I tell stories for a living, right?
Yeah.
I improvise musicals. And
Yeah.
so, like, I know how to do story arcs, and I know how stories should work, and I know how to tell a satisfying story. And this show, like, had no setups, no payoffs. It was just like, it's very, very lazy storytelling. But that's not what this video is about.
Wait, let me say one more thing before we switch topic.
Yeah.
So I did like this. I liked some parts of the story. For example, how they set up they showed us how Mordor was created. So I liked that, and that was part of the story.
I know. I'm not disregarding what you're saying. I'm having to forget lore. So go on.
Okay. And then I loved it because I felt like I could really immerse myself into such a cool world. Like I felt like I was imagining like I was living there, and that would be like the coolest place to live. I mean, other than like the orcs that like murder you. But yeah. Okay. So now I'm done saying.
Yeah. One more thing. This is like behind the scenes information, which may help you understand why I hate the show. Is the showrunners have actively just lied consistently to the fans. Like we complained that when we saw the trailer that the dwarven women didn't have beards, which they're supposed to in Tolkien.
Yeah.
And so they came out to Comic-Con and said, no, we promise. The dwarven women have beards. We spent hours putting each individual hair on their faces. Tina, did you see any beards on the dwarven?
No,
women?
not
there
at
was
least
one shot. There was
woman.
one shot of Disa where the light was shining and you could see a little bit of peach fuzz on like her sideburn, but they did not have beards. And so like they lied about stuff like that. And then during the show's run, they did an interview where they said anyone who is criticizing our TV show is patently evil. They called me evil for not liking their TV show.
Yeah, that is kind of ridiculous. But it doesn't take away the fact that I enjoyed the show.
That's fine. Okay, so none of this is what we're talking about. Okay? So